He had a 99.9% chance of winning. And yet, dozens of times across 37 episodes, the most intelligent character in anime history came within seconds of losing everything. Today, we are going through every single moment Light Yagami almost got caught. And trust me, some of these will genuinely shock you. Light Yagami, honor student, perfect son, secret god of the new world, and the most terrifyingly intelligent anime protagonist ever written. From the moment he picked up the Death Note, Light operated at a level of strategic genius that felt genuinely untouchable. Every move calculated, every variable considered, every escape route planned 3 steps ahead. But here is the thing about playing a perfect game. Even one mistake, one moment of panic, one overlooked detail, one fraction of a second of human emotion breaking through, and everything collapses. And Light Yagami had more of those moments than the fandom gives him credit for. So today, we are going through every major moment where Light came terrifyingly close to being exposed, ranked by how close he actually came to losing. This is every time Light almost got caught. Let's get into it. The FBI agent on the bus. Let's start with one of the earliest and most underrated close calls in the entire series. Early in the show, Light discovers he's being followed. An FBI agent named Ray Penber has been assigned to surveil him and his family as part of L's initial investigation into Kira's suspects in Japan. Now, most people in Light's position would panic, would back off, would wait. Light does the opposite. He engineers one of the most audacious moves in the entire series. He orchestrates a fake bus hijacking, deliberately putting himself in a situation of apparent danger, specifically to get close enough to Ray Penber to steal his FBI credentials without suspicion. The plan works perfectly, but here's the close call that people often miss. During the bus sequence, Light is operating completely live and improvised. No Death Note. No preparation time. Pure, real-time intelligence against a trained federal agent sitting right beside him. If Penber had been even slightly more suspicious, if he had noticed Light's hands moving at any point, if the hijacker Light had manipulated had deviated even slightly from the script Light gave him, the whole plan falls apart. Right there in episode 4, Light won this moment entirely on real-time improvisation. And that is terrifying. And terrifyingly close. Moment number 2, L sits next to Light at university. And then there is the moment that should have ended everything. L, the greatest detective in human history, decides to enroll at the same university as Light Yagami. Not just the same university, the same course. And then he sits down directly next to Light in the very first lecture and introduces himself, face to face. Real name. Well, Ryuzaki. Real presence. Real eyes studying Light from a distance of approximately 2 feet. This is the scene that rewatchers cannot believe Light survives, because L is not just sitting next to him socially. L is reading him. Every micro expression, every word choice, every reaction to every statement L makes is being cataloged and analyzed in real time by the sharpest mind in the world. And Light, knowing full well who this is, has to perform normality under that level of scrutiny for an extended period of time. The close call here is not physical, it is psychological. L tells Light directly, "I think you are Kira," right to his face, in their first real conversation. And Light's response is so perfectly calibrated, mixing genuine seeming offense with just enough intellectual curiosity, that L files it as evidence against suspicion rather than evidence for it. Light won this round, but by the thinnest possible psychological margin. Moment number 3, the task force investigation and confinement. This is the one that almost broke Light completely. After accumulating enough suspicion, L has Light and his friend Misa taken into custody and confined under 24-hour surveillance for 50 days. 50 days. Under constant cameras, constant observation. No Death Note, no contact with Ryuk. No way to operate as Kira whatsoever. And here is the genius and the horror of this moment simultaneously. Light's solution is so extreme that most people would never even consider it. He erases his own memories of the Death Note voluntarily, completely. He relinquishes ownership of the notebook, giving up his powers as Kira, specifically so that when L is watching him during those 50 days of confinement, his innocence is completely genuine. He cannot fake not being Kira. So he actually stops being Kira temporarily. The close call here is existential. If Light had miscalculated, if his plan to reclaim the notebook and his memories had failed at any point, he would have spent the rest of his life as a genuinely innocent person with no memory of ever being Kira. He gambled his entire identity, his entire plan, his entire God complex on a mechanism he could not fully control, and it worked, but barely. Moment number 4, Misa's Shinigami eyes and the investigation team. Here is a close call that comes not from L, but from Light's own allies being dangerously unpredictable. Misa Amane, Light's devoted follower and the second Kira, brilliant in her own way, but emotionally volatile in ways that created near catastrophic exposure, risks for Light repeatedly. The specific moment Misa's Shinigami eyes allow her to see the real names and lifespans of anyone she looks at, which means she can kill anyone on the investigation team at any time. But it also means when she's operating near the investigation team, one wrong move, one moment of her visibly reacting to seeing someone's name floating above their head, 1 second of her eyes doing something that looks slightly wrong to a trained observer, and the entire operation collapses. L notices everything. And L is watching Misa with exactly the same intensity he watches Light. The close call comes in multiple scenes where Misa, motivated by pure love for Light rather than strategic intelligence, nearly exposes both of them through sheer emotional impulsiveness. Light survives these moments not through his own genius, but through desperately managing a variable he cannot fully control, and that is perhaps the most human and relatable of all his close calls, being nearly destroyed by someone who loves you too much to be careful. Moment number 5, the potato chip moment. We have to talk about this one, because it is simultaneously the most brilliant and most absurd close call in the entire series. Light is under full surveillance, cameras in his room, every movement monitored, and yet he needs to continue operating as Kira, writing names in the Death Note without being seen doing it. His solution: a bag of potato chips. He builds a miniature television inside a bag of potato chips, watches the news to get criminal names, and writes in a hidden piece of Death Note paper concealed inside the chip bag, while appearing to simply be a normal teenager eating snacks and watching TV. The camera operators watching the footage in real time see nothing suspicious. L, reviewing the footage later, notices that Light seems very focused on eating chips. And that is almost enough, because L is the kind of person for whom almost anything unusual registers as suspicious. And a teenage genius eating chips with intense concentration is, in L's world, worth noting. Light survives this moment because the gap between suspicious and provably suspicious is just wide enough, but it is one of the closest calls in the series, because it nearly exposes him through something as mundane as snack food. Moment number 6, Near identifying Light as Kira. And then there is Near. After L's death, Near emerges as the new obstacle. And where L operated on instinct and psychological reading, Near operates on pure logical deduction, building his case piece by piece like an architect rather than a detective. And Near gets closer to provably identifying Light as Kira than anyone else in the entire series. The specific close call, Near deduces that the notebook Light's team is currently working with is a fake, that somewhere a real Death Note exists and is being actively used by someone within the investigation team itself. He is constructing the proof, systematically, unavoidably. The only reason Light is not caught at this point is timing. Nier needs one more piece of evidence, one more confirmation. And Light, knowing this, engineers the Mikami situation to try and stay one step ahead. What follows is a chess match between two genius-level minds where Light is always one move ahead until suddenly and catastrophically he is not. The final close call is the one Light does not survive. The final moment when he actually lost. And this brings us to the moment where the almost became actually the warehouse, the final confrontation. Light's plan requires Mikami to write the names of everyone present, killing Nier's team and leaving Light the last man standing. But Mikami, acting ahead of schedule, had already used the real Death Note days earlier, which means Nier's team had time to find it, replace the pages. And when the moment of Light's supposed victory arrives, nobody dies. Light has 1 second of confusion, then 1 second of realization. Then the mask comes off completely. And for the first time in the entire series, we see Light Yagami genuinely panicking. Not performing panic, not calculated emotional display. Real panic, real desperation, real humanity breaking through the god. He reaches for the Death Note himself. He tries to write Nier's name with a hidden piece. He gets shot. And sitting on the warehouse floor, bleeding, the god of the new world reduced to a wounded, frightened young man, he finally runs. Every close call throughout the series had been a rehearsal for this moment. And when the real thing came, when the margin finally ran out, he lost everything at once. So, there it is. Every major moment, Light Yagami came within seconds of losing everything. And what makes Death Note so endlessly rewatchable is exactly this. Light is not untouchable. He is not actually a god. He is a brilliant human being making brilliant human decisions, and sometimes making brilliant human mistakes. The tension of the series lives in those margins, in those moments where one different decision, one moment of hesitation, one overlooked variable would have ended the game completely. That is what makes Light Yagami one of the greatest characters ever written. Not that he was perfect, but that he was perfectly imperfect in ways that kept us watching until the very last second. Now, I want to hear from you. Which close call do you think came closest to actually catching Light? The L confrontation at university, the chip bag moment, or the final warehouse scene? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you love Death Note content, subscribe right now because we have a lot more coming. I will see you in the next one.